Hello everyone and welcome back to part 13 of our F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Hungarian Grand Prix, the penultimate race before the summer break, and it's safe to say we have got a huge amount of things to do within the team before we head to this weekend. We've got plenty of upgrades that we need to try and get sorted. We've got plenty of specialists available with goals that we want to try and achieve as we head into the weekend. So of course, if you are new around here as well and you aren't already, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel. You know, we're trying to hit 130,000 subs at the moment. I just want to say a thank you to everyone for the continued support on the, on the channel over recent weeks. You know, it has been really, really good fun so far inside F124. We're over halfway through this first season, which seems absolutely mind-blowing to me as well. So, you know, really, really happy with how we're getting on so far in this season. They're setting all of the goals across all of our specialists. You can actually see as well, as we look towards this weekend, we're doing very, very well in our driver ratings graph there. We're up to 73 overall now, with all our stats doing pretty well. And I believe against Hulkenberg,
each rivalry will use different metrics to determine who will win. The teammate rivalry uses various metrics displayed here, and whoever leads most of these will be classed as leading the rivalry. The bottom of this screen will show you what rewards are available, and when you'll get them.
There we go. Apparently, I've never clicked on this option before, but you can see we're 6-0 against Hulkenberg so far. Makes me chuckle. We're 7 against 5 in race results, except for we've got 47 points to his 2. Goes to show that when we score, we tend to score quite big there. We also, I believe, yeah, we're at 50-50 recognition now with Nico as well. So we are now completely even within the team as well, which is really, really good news for us. But yeah, the most important thing, though, is all these upgrades that we're hopefully going to see on the car coming into this weekend. So that's 2. Unfortunately, that one's not going to happen.
Expecting some new developments to come through, but I'm afraid to say that some of them have failed quality control. We're going to need to tell the team what to redevelop via the R&D screen.
Well, there we go. Trying to make sure that we get as many as we possibly can. I believe that is 4 upgrades then onto the car ready for this weekend. Have we got enough to do the front nose cone structure? Yes, we do. So that'll be on the car after the summer break when Formula 1 returns to Zandvoort. You can see, yeah, we have pulled away from Alpine and Visa Cash App as well. We're pretty much in line with Kick Sauber there as Williams continue to push themselves closer to that front-running group. So, sensibly, by the end of Season 1, we could see 8 of our 10 teams there, all within a couple of upgrades of each other. But I think we're finally ready. It's been a rather wordy intro, so let's head out then on track here for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Hello and welcome back, and as you can see, the paddock is a hive of activity behind us. More action, though, going on behind closed doors because, Anthony Davidson, we are in the middle of silly season. There is speculation everywhere as to where the drivers will move around the grid. Tell me from a driver's perspective, just how distracting is this?
It is a distraction, and it has been up until this point in the season, especially when you're outside of the car. But once that helmet goes on and the visor's down, it's back to business as usual, and that's when you see it all melt away. You're in the car doing what you do best. But yeah, certainly out of it, you sometimes see it boil over. Drivers have a few strong words to say to each other after some moments on track because it is such a stressful environment.
A huge mind game for all of the drivers. We're having secretive meetings, clandestine chats. What is exactly being said, though? Give us a level of insight.
So if you're not performing, obviously, you know, we're in a very brutal world in Formula 1 where the driver's data is there on show for inside your team for all to see, and you're constantly being compared against your teammate. There's nowhere to hide. And if you're not performing, then your team boss might be looking elsewhere and might not be telling you the full story. So sometimes you seek news from elsewhere in the paddock, even from the media. They might be telling you what's really going on with inside your team, and that's very uncomfortable. And then on the flip side, if you're having a great season, you might be the one having secretive talks with other teams that are performing better than your own team.
Okay, well, we're nearly out of time, so I'm going to send you to the commentary box, and we're going to get ready for today's Grand Prix. Welcome to Hungary. Who's got the appetite for success in practice here in Budapest?
Well, I guess that is one of the joys then of being so far ahead in career mode so far, is this is the first place you're going to see all those new cutscenes and things like that if you're watching series here on YouTube. So yeah, really, really interesting there. Obviously, Natalie Pinkham and Anthony Davidson talking, obviously, about all those secret meetings. There is something quite funny in my mind, at least. The idea, you know, they've added all these new things about, you know, changing teams, contracts, all that kind of thing. When, of course, this would have all been developed in the first ever winter where Formula 1 saw 0 driver changes whatsoever. No transfers, no one coming, no one going, anything like that. So, yeah, it does always make me chuckle a little bit. So, clearly the game has got to write the scripts that real-life Formula 1 can't. But as we make our way through free practice, though, we want to just try and earn as many R&D as we can, of course. I do still keep getting asked questions by you guys. It seems like most of you really want me to stay with the Haas Formula 1 team and actually try to win the title here before we kind of look elsewhere, which could be quite a fun little challenge as well. Might take me, obviously, a couple of seasons, but let me know down in the comments below what you would like me to do, because ultimately I haven't really entirely decided yet. Anyway, making our way, though, through the final corner. It should be a purple score, I hope. We actually had quite a few greens on the lap. We got it bang on. Well, I must admit, yeah, the Hungaroring is never really a track I've enjoyed inside the Formula 1 games. I just don't really like it as a layout. But inside F124, I think with a much sharper front end now, might actually be a bit more of an entertaining circuit for me. As at the final corner, we're actually going to miss out the Delta on our first tyre sim run. So I guess I've got to go again, as who's that coming out of the pit lane? Sergio Perez. I'm almost going to guarantee you won't see me, and he hasn't. Love that.
It is time for the drivers to dance on the edge. You are never resting, you are never still in qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix, right here at the Hungaroring.
Of course, just as we move then into qualifying, a component is going to start flashing up with wear. I really don't want to change engine components before Belgium next weekend. Obviously, we've got quite a few very power-sensitive circuits showing up. Of course, Belgium, Zandvoort not so much, admittedly, and then obviously Italy and Baku as well. So we've got, yeah, a lot of power-sensitive circuits, so it might be that sort of just as we go into the summer break, we're going to take a whole fresh engine as well. Qualifying margins, though, here at the Hungaroring, where it is such a short lap, are going to be very, very tight. So we also, I don't want to leave ourselves vulnerable like we did last weekend. Really don't want to see a repeat of Silverstone. I guess for the rest of the year we just need to be risk off. That's flat out, you know, in a Haas with mild upgrades on it. It's kind of mad, but I guess it's good fun to enjoy early on. I'm intrigued to see just how quick a maxed out car is going to end up being inside this game. As we make our way then through the final couple of corners. Actually haven't used enough battery on this lap either, so we know we've got a couple more tenths of a second if we do that next time round. Out of the final corner though, P19. Okay, we are slower than I was ever hoping. What a gaggle of cars then from about P11 down to P17 that are all covered by about a tenth and a half. Sergio Perez, rather alarmingly, is included in that group, so clearly Code is now finally giving him his IRL 2024 qualifying performances of recent times. But yeah, we need to really focus up then on this second lap. Like I said, it's only going to need about a 4/10 improvement, and we should hopefully safely make it through. But it is finding those 4/10 around a track like this. It is such a confidence-based venue. Should easily be a couple of tenths down here, though. We made that little mistake last time around. The car really wants to unsettle over that bump. Try and use battery up in towards turn 4. It's been a good sector 1. So almost tipped it in early.
Down to P20.
They hang it on the exit there. And again, completely pinned. Ooh. Nope, nope, no.
Rain, ETA about 15 minutes.
Well, we just about were able to keep it out of the wall, but just when we really wanted to try and get a good lap time on the board, I said we needed to take all the risk. We took way too much apex curb. That spat the rear end round, and we are last on the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I guess at least we can take some engine penalties before we move into the race.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula 1 action. It's tight, it's technical. Some drivers love it, some drivers find it a challenge. Either way, there's been so much drama in the last couple of years at the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're about 12 miles northeast of the bustling Hungarian capital of Budapest. We have 14 corners that comprise the Hungaroring, and they are all steeped in history and prestige. Overtaking has always been tough around here. It's a technical 2.7-mile track. The last few years in particular have been dramatic. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Fernando Alonso yesterday puts him on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Perez, Albon, Joe, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Sargent, Tsunoda, Gasly, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Mr. Monaco. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, this is going to take a monumental effort from you. I need you to push incredibly hard if we're going to get a good result today. Let's go and make it happen.
I love the inspiration there from Mark. Sometimes still inside this game, he does give you some very, very good radio messages then. But here we are on the grid, ready for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'll be honest, this one is likely just going to be sort of how do the AI drivers fall kind of into their groups. But Fernando Alonso on the pole, could he cause a surprise today? Only time will tell then. We've put an entirely new fresh engine in the back of the car. We were starting last anyway, so we've taken all those grid penalties and we've added an extra unit to our pool for the rest of the year as well. So hopefully that's going to be a strategy that pays off. It is going to be 5 red lights though here at the Hungaroring. And it's lights out and away. Oh, we go, kind of. Myself and Yuki Tsunoda not getting off to a particularly good getaway as we make our way down in towards turn 1. And Tsunoda clearly seems desperate to defend from myself there. I can see a gap. Ricciardo spotted the same gap, so we're going to have to go to the outside of the first corner there. Look at Hülkenberg carving his way through a little bit further up there. Both Haas cars on the move at the start of the GP as we'll get to the inside of Logan Sargent, making our way down the hill. Sargent there just about able to hang on to it around the outside. Can we switch him on the exit of the corner? Yes, we can. We'll go back to the inside, ready for turn 4. Little bit of contact there. That got a little bit sketchy as the AI don't tend to quite follow the racing line all the way around, I feel. But luckily we make it through. No damage for me. I don't believe Sargent will have picked up anything either there, as Hülkenberg's had a really good start. He's up to P12, I think. So that would equal his best result of the season that he got at Austria a couple of races ago. So yeah, I really need to stop trying to attack that outside curb on the entry there, because I think that was what caused the spin yesterday in qualifying. So got to try and settle down. I thought Fernando Alonso on the pole. If he can hang on to it by the end of lap 1, that'd be really, really good. But I think it's now Carlos Sainz up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Maybe it's Charles Leclerc. It is Charles Leclerc who leads the way at the end of lap 1. Let's not forget, Ferrari haven't won a Grand Prix yet this year. Of course, yeah, early on in this race, we're going to have to just settle down into a rhythm. The hard tyres, understandably, won't provide as much grip as the mediums early on. Also got to be very, very conscious of tyre temperature as well. You know, the last couple of races have been really, really tough on us, so want to make sure that that's not going to be a problem today, that is going to potentially throw us further down the order than I'd like. But yeah, we just cannot hang close enough to Gasly, Ocon even, down through those final couple of turns. So it just to be about seeing how far the mediums can go before we've got an advantage. Just being a bit more patient this afternoon than we've been in recent races. I said it early on in this game that you kind of got to be patient, let a race come towards you. The last couple of times we've got a little bit frantic. It's worked at Austria and Canada, but really hasn't worked at Silverstone and Spain. I tell you what, watching the AI on the mini-map as well, Verstappen is not going to have it easy here. I do feel, you know, Ferrari, Aston Martin, McLaren, maybe even Mercedes on tracks that work for them, they are definitely getting closer and closer to that Red Bull performance. Remember, only 3 drivers have won a race so far this season. Perez has won 1, I've won 1, Verstappen has won the other 10, so yeah, he's absolutely winning this first World Championship to the shock of nobody. But it would be nice to sort of see other drivers able to trade victories with him in the second half of the year, as Charles Leclerc has got back to the lead of the Grand Prix. Him and Verstappen have been swapping that over lap after lap after lap. Well, having to just drop back from Esteban Ocon a little bit here as tyre warming just getting a bit too high. Logan Sargent trying to make a move up the inside, though, is really not what we want. As I give him a bit of a pinch there through the apex of turn 1. It's important, yeah, that we just stay in a bit of clear air at the moment. You know, this race will hopefully come back to us towards the end, but only if we can look after these hard tyres early on.
Oh, mate, you made that look easy. Nice work. That's why I love working with you. Smashed it.
I love occasionally you just get one of those really overly enthusiastic messages from Mark. And it feels like so far in this year's game, it's always happened at a point where actually we're not doing that well. So yeah, I mean, we're just desperately trying to hang with the cars in front. Looks like Checo Perez starting to struggle in that second Red Bull, has dropped away from the rest of the front runners there, as I think Hulkenberg is still right up towards the front of this group. So it was usually Lance Stroll that was kind of the back market gateway to a point or two here. It might now end up being Sergio Perez now that Red Bull has lost its extra couple of tenths. But can we close back in? Oh, there we go, Zhou Guanyu into the pit lane then. So that's a very, very early stop by the Kick Sauber. I wonder if he picked up damage. Well, I can't work out at the moment whether Perez is getting slower or I'm getting quicker here. We're still not seeing anyone else into the pits. So I'm inclined to believe, yeah, Zhou Guanyu's ran into an issue. But yeah, we're almost back inside the DRS range now of Ocon. Sargent is dropping back a little bit here. This strategy really could now start falling into our hand. Well, this is where we've got to start making an impact then on Esteban Ocon, making our way out of that final corner.
The grip levels are going to start falling away soon.
AI really starting to struggle now, and you can see when we use the battery, we have actually got very competitive straight line speed down the inside at turn 1 then on Esty Bestie, just to get the car slowed down. A lot of wheel spin on the exit, but we've finally made another overtake then in this Grand Prix. It's a shame we're not actually on the mediums. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to box now and just try to undercut this group of cars. But I think we've got to try and make our way to the front. The only problem is I'm probably going to have to overtake them all again, because they'll likely undercut us. Well, I could be tempted to try and go for a really early pit onto the mediums, try and undercut the AI. Fortunately, that's not going to happen now, as they're all going to dive into the pit lane then, including our teammate. So we make our way then out of the final corner.
Into the pits. Nico in the pits.
I guess what would be really ideal for us at this stage
Window, and you're going to be on mediums.
would be if Zhou Guanyu and that Kick Sauber could get ahead of quite a lot of cars here. Obviously, he won't quite get to the front runners or anything like that. Although I say that, I think he actually is. Zhou Guanyu, if somehow he could go to the end of the Grand Prix, could be on for the biggest undercut of his life. I certainly don't believe he's going to stay there. But what a turnout for the books that would be. But yeah, we need to box about lap 20 then. But we've got to try and keep the pace up, and that's not how you do it. We've got Pierre Gasly into the pits as well then, I think, as well as everybody else. So we are going to head out to the lead then of the Grand Prix. Dare I claim last to first inside 17 laps? I don't know. But yeah, look at that. Zhou Guanyu has really made that work for him at the moment.
Low. Consider changing mode on your MFD, or lift a little with gentle braking into corners to recharge it.
And Zhou is on hards. He might genuinely be trying to go to the end of this one, and might genuinely be in the net lead for now. Verstappen will get him, but that would just be insanity. And into the pits then will come at the end of lap 20, so not actually able to go too far on the mediums towards the end. But how many places are we going to have to try and make? Always forget about where the pit lane line is here. One of the worst entries I find, just because there's no kind of reference point or anything. You just kind of have to mash the brakes somewhere. But yeah, as we make our way then down pit lane, Hulkenberg is about to fly past us. And yeah, he will be up into 11th place then.
Let's go now, come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
Well, we have been undercut then by basically everybody, unless you're in an a V-carb car. So back out in P18. We've only got to try and close in 5 seconds, though. Oh, almost new fast lap of the day, then. Gutted we couldn't quite get that one, as Zhou Guanyu has admitted defeat and will dive back into the pit lane then. It was an interesting strategy choice by Sauber, but unable to make it work, as Hulkenberg now, then, will be into that final points-paying position. We are closing in on that gaggle of cars, though, very, very quickly, over a second a lap. But as long as one of us scores the point, I genuinely don't care which of us it is.
Okay, mate. Sargent Sargent's ahead. We don't want to let this hold us up too long, so do your best to get past and get on with the race.
Well, we're going to be trying to do that anyway. Team have given us 5 laps to try and move our way past Logan Sargent. Just having to keep one eye out on the tyre temperatures as well, though, but I think we might be fine to push to the end. Well, this is where things will get really, really tough then. Less than 10 laps to go of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and everybody is still bunched up. Hulkenberg doesn't look like he's got the fight against Bottas and Sergio Perez for that final point, so we've really got to try and carve our way right the way through this entire group of cars. I've already overtaken Sargent once today and Esteban Ocon, so still a little bit annoyed that we're going to have to do all that again. I mean, they often describe this place as Monaco without the barriers, and well, the final few laps here might go to showcase that. So difficult to make moves around this place, but we are not going to give up. Oh, yellow.
Good job on hitting that target, mate. Nice work. It's a long way to go.
I mean, we'll take the fact we completed the goal as well, and we made the move on Logan Sargent, but was not expecting everyone to kind of concertina up like that in towards the chicane there. I mean, everyone is just so bunched up in this train. I guess we made the overtake on one, but that is not how I reliably want to do it. Apologies, Sargent. I scared myself as well, if it helps. Well, really, the goal at the moment then is just see if we can try and tick off these drivers one by one. You can see we gain a lot in certain places on the lap. Turn 1, some of the big braking zones, we can make things happen. But it is just, we cannot hang close enough at that final corner. We are really starting to struggle again with tyre temp here, as here comes Logan Sargent trying to look back around the outside. Gonna slam the door firmly shut in his face. 4 laps to go, we just can't do anything. We are completely stuck in this train at the moment. Bottas can't get the run on Perez, so now they can't go side by side into turn 1, and I think that was what led to all the concertina up a little bit further behind there, which meant we could make the move on Sargent. It is so difficult inside this game, and a car that has no real advantage over the ones around it to do anything at the moment. It's so annoying, so painful, but I guess that is quite realistic to IRL Formula 1. Yeah, I mean, I think likely now we are just going to end up finishing in P16. I guess at least the one good thing is Charles Leclerc still leading the Grand Prix at the front. Oh, so maybe we could see a battle for the win. Oh, here goes Hulkenberg again. This time around to the inside of Alex Albon. Our tyre wear warning light has come on, so I think we have absolutely wrecked that front left again. Always seems to be the front left in this game, but I guess that's because most F1 circuits are clockwise. But yeah, you can just see Hulkenberg. I'd love to see him make the move happen the long way around down the hill. Shades of suck my balls, mate, coming in there, but just over a lap to go. Will it be Hulkenberg? Will it be Albon? Or could one of the French duo get involved? Well, one more lap to go then for our race leaders. It is still Charles Leclerc at the front of the field, but we saw Verstappen do it last weekend. Is he going to be able to do the same thing today and make a last lap move for another Grand Prix victory this season? Charles Leclerc actually seems to have the legs on him, at least down in towards turn 1. Will it finally be Ferrari's day here as he navigates his way? He's basically got to make it through turn 2 and he'll be good, and I think he has. Charles Leclerc might actually be on for Ferrari's first win of the season. Their first as a team since Singapore last year, as here goes Hulkenberg defending from Albon. Again down at turn 1. Are we going to see the Williams try and get a run there? As we have absolutely cooked our tyres a little bit further back. See Ocon and Gasly saving up some battery as well. There is, yeah, we are completely screwed in terms of these tyres. What are they up to? 67% wear, 110 degrees. They're side by side into turn 4. Albon will make a power move there. I think that was around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg, so love to see it right towards the end of the race. But Charles Leclerc making his way through the final couple of corners. It's probably a bit too late for a championship fight this year, but Ferrari are finally going to be back on top in the world of Formula 1 through the final turn. Charles Leclerc is going to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, and maybe that sends a statement of intent to Red Bull for the second half of the year. It is Maranello back on top at a circuit they have won at so many times in years gone by, but through the final couple of corners for us, we made the mistake in qualifying. We tried something a bit unorthodox in the Grand Prix. It hasn't paid off for us today. Barely able to make any progress, as we've seen so many times inside this game. It is P16, come the checkered flag.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
It's victory in Budapest then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix.
And just to seal it off, they've got the bonus point for the fastest lap too. It's something that's not that easy to achieve when you've got a car that's set up for long run pace. But to put on those tyres right at the right moment to get that fastest lap in, those extra points are going to count towards the title battle.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit, familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
Well, there we go then. Although Sergio Perez might have given us all a glimmer of hope, it was the big five teams this weekend back to taking all of the available points as Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Fernando Alonso are your podium there. Yet again, another Fernando Alonso podium. He has just been wild so far this year. Lando Norris beats out Russell, Sainz, Piastri, Stroll, Hamilton, and like we said, Checo Perez, the final of the point scorers there. Bottas just didn't quite have enough come the end of the GP. Hulkenberg moving forward though across the race, same as myself. But yeah, Zhou Guanyu on that two-stop strategy. I didn't realise actually how close he got to us by the end, and I think VCarb need to be very, very worried as well. They lacked pace all weekend. Hopefully that is not a sign of things to come in the near future. Taking a look though at the championship, yep, Verstappen still with a 166-point lead as Alonso and Sainz 1 point in it between them. Charles Leclerc only 3 points back though, so that fight is actually starting to heat up between those drivers as well. They're in the battle for P2 this year. A bit like we've seen the last couple of years. Could be very, very spicy. Is still locked into our P10. Zhou Guanyu, yeah, I did worry for a second today that he might score some big points, but unable to keep the tyres in check there. Red Bull 135 out in front. 4 points between Aston Martin and McLaren, and we are only 9 ahead of Kick Sauber, so that is definitely going to be a fight that rages on to the end of the year as well there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back tomorrow then, ready for the Belgian Grand Prix.